Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday. It is August the 15th, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. We do have jobless claims coming in. That number has been weakening, and so if it's weak again, the market is probably going to bounce. Bad news is good news, but really at the end of the day, bad news is bad news. And so there's a little bit of a tightrope that the traders are going to have to walk. So we have jobless claims and retail sales. Not a big thing. Philly Fed manufacturing, Empire State manufacturing, of course, for those of us that don't live in the U.S., that is New York, and import-export prices and industrial production. So, take what you will with that. All right, starting with the ES, we noticed that we went straight up through the thin volume pocket. We are still rising. Candlestick formations are getting a little tighter. Let me shift this ATR. It actually needs to be 21. I have noticed that the shift axis, yeah, I don't want that. All right. The 21 actually does give us much better near-term formations, and we are going to stick with that. A lot of times they have the 14, but I'm choosing the 21 to just give it a little bit of flex. Okay, so the ATR today is about, 84? And so 8 and 8 is 16, so that's 55.60. ATR projection at 55.60. Looks pretty reasonable. Old resistance, old support, new resistance with a little bit of an offshoot into 5600. My suspicion, though, is that we, unless that number is just monumentally crazy, I suspect, oh, for goodness sakes, I suspect that this region around the close of yesterday is going to give us the real range. All right, so if we look at this area and we say, all right, let's divide the ATR in half, and we have 40 down, 40 up, and remember that is back of a napkin calculation, so 40 down would be 54.40-ish. All right, so we're going to move this up 54.40-ish. That looks about right. Probably 54.55, and then let's clone this one again, and we'll see where old resistance is. That gives us 55.05. That's kind of tight, and we have this big volume profile sitting up here, so maybe this is what we go after, the big POC from 50 to 55.23. That sort of gives us a little bit of squishy things. It is a buy zone, right? Pullbacks are buy zones. We've been right on this all week. How do you know? Look at the slope of your 14 moving average, and then just go tighter and tighter until you get yourself a space where you can go, oh, I can buy that pullback, right? Watch your risk. If you say, hey, I want to use the 5, overnight it's been really fairly bullish, but now we're in a wait state as we come into the jobs numbers. Look at this bounce right here. Here's another thing that we do. You don't want to do too many of these calculations. You don't want to rip yourself to shreds with over calculation. But if we have a measured move to the upside, that's going to take us to 54.94. My guess is that it's going to be bigger than that. It's probably going to be fairly good size. This is a big zone. A lot of buyers came in here yesterday and into the early morning this morning, really punching up. Could have been an earnings event, but nevertheless, you pull back, see how it's coming close into here. This is the area you would buy, but you're not going to stay in there during the earnings, especially if you have something like a combine or something like that you're working through. That's just nonsense. You'll blow through your parameters, right? Okay, so let's get to, oops, I should do the ES. I should do SPY. Let's do SPY. Okay, so we have this one triggered, so let's remove the alert. We can see that triggered very, very nicely as the breakout went straight through the thin auction, sitting right up here at the point of control. This is where I think the ES ought to go into its point of control, but it's still got bullish pressure fairly far away from its moving averages, right? If we go to a 30-minute, we can see that it's walking the 14, so don't do anything crazy like go short. Just say, hey, I'm going to wait for the pullback, and when I get the pullback, I'm going long. And then you look at old resistance, new support, look to the left, and then you make the trade, right? But something simple like this says, don't be shorting. Wait for it to fail supports, and then come back in. Don't chase this. Just roll down the lazy river, or roll up the lazy river, and then, you won't be on the wrong side of the trade. Just trust me on this. Trust me. The reason that you have these memories of, I'm afraid to get in, is because you're not waiting for the proper pullback that allows you to go long. And then if it makes a lower high, you go, uh-oh, I probably need to take this position off, right? We get new information once we're in the trade, and it tells us whether we're right or wrong. And in the time it gets us to lift here, you can see the volatility bands as well as the value area high for this formation saying, hey, come on now. We're not up over there. You gotta get out of this trade. Just pay attention to how the market is speaking to you, and you'll be in good shape. Now, taking a look at the NQ recovery, it is not into the areas above. It's still operating more weakly, but here's the thing. I think everybody's waiting on NVIDIA. If you want to know what I'm really thinking, I'm thinking they're waiting on the earnings from NVIDIA, but that is clearly something that's a descending wedge, right? And that descending wedge can do anything. It can break out and resume trend, or it can break down and collapse further. What is volume and trend telling us? It's telling us it could break up or it could break down, right? It's essentially flat with a slight bullish edge. So what does that mean? Pullbacks or buy zones. Remember what I said yesterday, pullbacks could be kind of deep, but then there they were, and we didn't quite get in to this 18,875 area, but it came pretty close. And if you're staring it down and you go, all right, I know all of these lines are really zones, maybe that's what I need to pay attention to. As always, if you want to know what's happening in the current market and just to the candlestick ahead, look 2 to 3 candlesticks to the left and it'll tell you. And this one, like a house of fire, came right up. And then yesterday, it looked like we were going to retrace it, but by golly, it held that edge. And the edge that it held, let's put this one here now, 19,101. 19,102 was settlement from, or it was the close, not really settlement. We don't track settlement on here. It was the close of that prior day. And so we're still going to be looking at that. If it loses it, it's going to fall into these pockets. As long as the 50% range of this candle holds as support, this chart has still got upside pressure. Pullbacks are upside. Where is the sweet pullback here? If per happenstance it comes into 18,825, that's going to look really good. I mean, really, really pretty. Oh, wait, that's it. Let's go to the Qs. Same sort of thing. This is mean reversion, I don't know what kind of moving average we have to put on here to, I don't know. Let's look at this one, and it's a 50. Let's make it a 200 and see what happens. Oh, there we go. All right, there's the 200. Wow, bounced on the fly. How does something like that happen? Big money is watching it. Big money's watching it. That's just how that happens. Big money watches it. Big line takes 4 days to move, and then we're off to the races. Yesterday's close was, what is this number? 460, not yesterday, day before yesterday's close was about 463 and some change. We are above that level. Pullbacks or buy zones. What's the ideal pullback? I don't know, 459, maybe 460, 50. Stalk that area. See if it holds. Try the bounce. If it doesn't give you a higher high, pump the brakes, take the profit, and step back. All right, let's take a look at the YM. Wow, what a beast. Holy smokes. Okay, so very thin pocket right here. Man, these things are running. Okay, what do we want to think about here? First of all, what is the chart? What are the traders trying to do here? Well, they want to climb through the wall of worry and get to the value area high. So I am going to say, hey, let them have it. Let's get that value area high. Pullbacks or buy zones. This is a very steep bounce event. So let's go to the 30-minute and see what's going on. Ooh, that's breaking away before the number. That's really weird. You don't want to do that. So here's the thing. The number's coming. The chart wants to break to the north. So the pullbacks going to be buy zones. 40,190, 40,186. If you want to be positioned, I say try a micro and then go to the mini. Okay? Or just choose one and wait for it to come back and give yourself, $500 of risk. I think it's fairly risky to do it otherwise, okay? I don't know what happened here at this 7 a.m. This has got to be something London, European, EU based. Got to be. So whatever happened here, or perhaps it's an earnings event, it is pushing us out into these higher edges. Look at the volatility bands beginning to expand. That's a breakaway motion. If we do our little box here, right, we don't use the wick. We're going to see that, 40,300 is where it's at. The ATR is, 410? Is that what that says? No, ATR is, that's on a 30-minute chart. All right. Sorry. 515. Holy smokes, that's a lot of running. But 2 and 5 is 7. There's that 789 number, right? That's right up on the edge if it gives us that zone. Okay? So I'm going to remove this green. Hello. And then I'm going to clone this pink so you know that we're actually looking at relative settlement. It's really the close, but with the indices, it's not so dramatic. Commodities, totally different story because they don't close at 4 o'clock. They always close at some other time, and gold settlement and commodities are very far apart sometimes. Okay. All right. Last thing, oil. We are rolling the contract, so let's go to 2. Today's contract roll. And here we are. This one came into 78. The old one came into 80 and then faded. Do we make some congestion here? Do we head up into this 80 zone again? I think so, right? Thin volume relatively. So pullbacks or buy zones, thereabouts. I'd be a little bit careful. Job numbers might move this chart. It might move this one. So let's just be careful about that sort of thing. All right. I did the YM. I did the CL. Hey, listen, that's it. Take care. Sorry about the ums and the ahs. There's a lot that's going on right now in the market. A lot to think about. All right. I will see you all on the platforms. And hey, I'm on Fast Markets today on Top Step TV. Come watch. We'll trade the equities live together.